What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Tasty Tuesday on Tasty Loot Gaming, the show where we talk about gaming news. My name's Seth, and we've got a couple quick reminders to play The Surge, Conan Exiles, both offered for free on PlayStation Plus. Make sure to download those, play those back at the end of this month. For Plus Club, let us know what you thought of those games. We'll let you know what we thought of those games. I have been playing both quite a bit. And our game of the month picked for community member is Civilization 6. Make sure to play that as well. It is a turn-based strategy game. I'm sure you've heard of it. If you haven't, go check it out. It's on Switch and PC. We have a Discord link down below. Talk to us anytime, all the time. And we're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you'd prefer to listen to us. Speaking of Discord, one of the topics I will be talking about today is all over the place as of right now. But when I woke up, I checked the Discord. I check what people are saying. And community member Wade put a link in for information on the PS5, which I will be talking about. So thank you, Wade, for that. It was the first time I saw that. So that's why I'll be talking about this. So if you would like to give us, some info on news you'd like us to talk about, I think the Discord is probably the best way to do that. And of course, in the comments below, but do me a favor and leave me a link because that makes my job a lot easier. With that, I have 3 bits of news I want to talk about. So let's jump into it. First bit of news. We got a lot of console news to talk about today. Apparently there is finally a confirmation for an all digital Xbox One with no disk drive. This was leaked on a German site, WinFuture or vinfuture.de. The image was obtained on their Twitter. Based on the sales art, it appears that Minecraft, Sea of Thieves, and Forza Horizon 3 might come pre-installed on this console with a 1TB hard drive. Bear in mind that this may only be one version of an all-digital Xbox One SKU that Microsoft is planning. Pricing hasn't been announced, and bundles tend to vary greatly by region. Now, it is on here as being 230 euros. So I would say that's probably like $250 US. I'm not sure. That's not an exact number, but keep that in mind. Some people have been complaining because I guess you can buy Xboxes now for like $200. So people are kind of curious. But if it came with 3 games loaded on it, kind of makes sense. Continuing. This is via GameSpot, by the way. Whatever the case, given that what appear to be official images for the console are showing up online, it might not be long until Microsoft officially announces it. As it happens, Microsoft's next Inside Xbox event is coming up on April 16th. It's probably a great time to announce it. In addition to news about Microsoft's plans for E3, the company might announce the console during the show. Microsoft is also reportedly planning a disc-to-digital campaign where you can bring a disc game to a retailer and get a download code. Additionally, there are rumors of a new Xbox Live plus Xbox Game Pass bundle offering for $15 USD a month. So that could also be another one of the announcements coming for the Inside Xbox stream this week. So the rest of it's all pretty much speculation. Let's jump into this. First off, I'm going to start off with, I think this is real. This has been rumored for a while. And finally seeing box art, a console, picture of the console without a disk drive, all just kind of leads to me assuming that this is absolutely real. And it does, obviously, it makes sense to me, just because even with the 360, Xbox has always been, through its life cycle, finding new ways to make the console more enticing for everybody. They always try and find a way to make sure you can get an Xbox no matter what. And so people who are not interested in, maybe they're buying it for like Netflix mostly, but they want to play some games on it, or maybe they want to play games on it, but they don't really care about physical copies. It makes sense for Xbox to be offering them that. And Microsoft has so much money that they can just keep making different variations of the same console, which makes complete sense. It also is interesting when they say that they may be moving towards an Xbox Live plus Xbox Game Pass bundle for $15 a month, because they have been pushing Game Pass really hard. And so if they're offering you a digital only Xbox and you use that program, it only makes sense. You don't need the disk drive. So it really seems like Microsoft is doing almost like what Stadia wants to do, only in a smarter way. They have the console with the physical version. Now they're moving it towards digital download of the game. And by the time they get to streaming, they will have already made a soft transition to that. So it's a way better strategy. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I think this is real. It makes complete sense to me. The price point, I hope, is cheaper than that. 1 terabyte's great, but kind of standard at this point. It does come with multiple games. And if it does, that's good. That makes sense. But yeah, and paired with the Game Pass, this makes complete sense. Also, if they are doing this disc to digital campaign, which again screams to me that Xbox wants you to start transferring over to digital, which is really interesting. It's kind of cool, but as long as they don't force you to go digital, because if you do have physical games and you want to make that transition and they're willing to do that for you, and take your game and give you digital code for it, that's fucking amazing. That's something that Steam kind of flirted with for a while with CD keys, but it's kind of impossible to do that with all PC games. I remember a while ago they wanted to do that, and that had me really excited because I'm old school. I got a bunch of old fucking PC games that I would have loved to have digital copies of, because I went fully digital with PC like everybody else a long time ago. But yeah, so if they do something like that and actually nail it with the Xbox, it's very cool. And if they want people to go digital and they're willing to step you through that process, I think that's the best way to do it. Make it as easy as possible, and people do it. I mean, I think it's cool. Now, would I buy this? I already have my Xbox. I don't use it as much as I would like, but it's still there. It's fucking in great shape. I have no reason to have this, but I don't think this is for me. I think this is for the stragglers at the end of the console cycle going, I kind of want to get an Xbox. I just never got around to it. Or like, somebody who's like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to play some games, but I also need something that plays Netflix and Hulu and all that shit. And someone's like, oh, well, I got that digital one. You don't have to really get games for it if you want. You could always download one. Like, you don't have to own fucking games around the house or whatever. I don't know. I'm not in that demographic, but I can see a potential market for that. I just really, with the price point, I feel like it's got to go down a little bit for it to be more accessible. But at the same time, like I said in the very beginning of this, Microsoft is great at making different variations. I mean, they had the Xbox Arcade that came out for 360, and it was a smaller hard drive. It was very small, but it was more so for like indie titles, people who needed that Netflix machine that weren't going to be doing a lot of heavy gaming, and they sold. I knew people with them, so I knew some people that bought them and didn't know what it was, and they're like, I have to keep deleting saves and shit. I'm like, you should have read the fucking box. Fucking normies. Joking. But yeah, all in all, I think this is cool. It's not really for me, but it does. If anything, this news is very revealing at where Xbox is going as a console. Xbox, if anything, has made, if the Xbox One, if anything, in its life cycle, it has campaigned on the idea of getting to everyone it can on most things. I mean, we already know it's coming to Switch. It's on PC. It's on the Xbox. You can play these games pretty much everywhere. It's got its pros and cons for doing that, but Xbox is all about accessibility. They do a lot of a lot of peripherals for people who are not capable in the same ways as other people to play games, and that's also amazing. So Microsoft has really led the charge in the sense of making sure everybody can game, and that's awesome. And this kind of aligns with that. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about the all digital Xbox One? Are you interested? Are you not interested? Do you have any information on this that I don't? What do you think about the price point of potentially being $250, 230 euros, or whatever it'd be, 220 here? I don't know. I don't fucking know. And what do you think about Xbox Live and Xbox Game Pass bundle? It only makes sense to me. They're really pushing that Game Pass, so to put it in with Xbox Live is a fucking no-brainer to me. And what do you think about that disc to digital campaign? Do you think that's a good idea? Would you be interested in taking physical copies and getting digital codes for it, or are you a physical person? On Twitter constantly, when we're talking about all digital stuff, people are constantly saying, nope, I like physical. So it's really interesting that, people do not want to move to all digital. Let me know what you think about, though, in the comments below. Next bit of news, we're moving into PS4 territory. This is the console episode, as I've said. So as you guys most likely already know, Xbox is fucking ahead of the game here. You can finally change your PS4 PSN ID. The first time you change it, it is free as well. It will cost you $10 after that. And if you have PlayStation Plus, you get it for $5. So pretty fairly priced in my opinion. And you can do that, on their website, all over the fucking place, whatever. You can figure that out. But the real news here, outside of this is finally here, and I am happy for it, it's causing problems for people. And it's really kind of interesting because they did tell people before this came out that it might cause issues. This is actually one of the reasons I think they delayed the release of the name changing on PSN, which is really kind of weird. You'd figure it would just work. It'd just be like, oh, I want to change my name. Okay, change your name, and it's fine. But no, they warned about it, and now it's here, and it is having issues. So this is more of a PSA that it exists, and it is an option if you want to change your name. I know so many people who want to change their names. They made their name, their PSN name, fucking, back when they're younger, something they don't really identify with anymore. And now they're like, I want something a little more simple. I want to be fucking Devil Killer 666 anymore, 42069. I want to be Bob Games. And, now they can do that, but there are issues. And so this is a PSA. I'm going to be talking about what games that have been identified so far that do have issues. So if you do decide to do this, potential problems that could happen, because sadly that's a reality and it kind of sucks. For transparency, I will not be changing my PSN. I'm pretty happy with mine. I'd almost like to change mine over to something that has to do with this channel, because I do this channel fucking every week now, so it's kind of part of my life. It'd be kind of cool to have a Tasty Loot handle, but I've had mine for so long, and it is attached to my music project, Sleep Division. I guess I just told everybody my PSN. And yeah, it's really hard for me to let go of that. So I'll keep that for a while. But I do think it's really cool that they offer the name change for free the first time. That's awesome. I mean, it's only $5, so $10, but it's a good show of faith that, like, hey, this is late. You can do it for free. Just try it out, whatever. It's also worth mentioning too, if you do have issues with your new PSN name, you can roll back to the old one, but they do warn that some of the major issues with certain games are not reversible. So keep that in mind. It's really fucking kind of devastating when you say it out loud. Okay, so games with issues identified. Changing your PSN ID may cause the previous ID to remain visible or disappear entirely. User accounts to unlink and settings to return to default in these games. Sony suggests that signing out and signing back in should resolve these non-critical issues. So yeah, you're gonna have a problem seeing your name or your new name or name at all. It's not gonna be there. So they say if you restart, it will be fine. So I'm gonna go down a list because I want you guys to know exactly what these games are. We got Absolver, Downfall, Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag, Big City Stories, Bloodborne, that's fucking shitty. Call of Duty Ghosts, that's not shitty, who cares? Cross Out, I don't even know what that is. Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin, that's really shitty. Dark Souls 3, that's really shitty. Dragon Quest Builders, FIFA 17, Standard Edition, Gauntlet, Slayer Edition, God Eater 2, Rage Burst, Grand Theft Auto 5, that's shitty. Gundam Versus, Guns Up, Injustice 2, Killzone Shadowfall, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, MLB The Show 17, Naruto Shippuden, Ultimate Ninja Storm 4, Naruto Shippuden, Storm Trilogy. You guys know I don't watch this. Naruto Storm, Road to Boruto expansion, NBA 2K19, PlayStation VR Worlds, that's shitty. Rock Band 4, Rocksmith 2014 edition, remastered. Last of Us remastered. I'm gonna say that one more time. I was running out of breath. Titanfall 2, Trackmania Turbo, Trove, Uncharted 4, Thief's End, Uno, Warframe, Wipeout, Omega Collection. I own like a lot of these games, so that's kind of shitty. So again, those are games that your name might not be compatible with, and you might have to restart, and it might show up then. So minor issue, but still inexcusable in my opinion. And we get it sometimes from the Xbox community that we talk about PS4 a lot, and I agree, we do talk about it a lot because we primarily play it the most when it comes to the consoles. So I feel like we don't really get to say a whole lot of negative things about PS4 very often, but this is really shitty. Like, I'm reading this, I'm like, that's not even fucking, like, it doesn't even sound worth it. Okay, now let's get into games with critical issues. Changing your PSN ID may cause you to lose progress or in-game currency in these games. Additionally, some parts of the game may function properly. Sony doesn't recommend changing your ID if you want to keep entitlements and trophies, as it's possible to incur permanent game errors or data loss on these games. So, us as gamers, we don't like when our progress goes away because we spend a lot of time working towards that. So it's kind of fucking shitty that you're like, I don't want to be dickhead 88 anymore, and now PlayStation's a dickhead and they fucking get rid of your progress. Yeah, so shorter list, thank you. And a lot of games I don't play, but one I do. So let's go down it. Disc Jam, which was a PlayStation Plus game we played a while ago, and I probably will never play again, so that's fine. Everybody's Golf, Just Dance 2017, Little Big Planet 3, MLB 14 The Show, MLB The Show 16, MLB The Show 15. So if you like MLB The Show 15, 14, 16, you got a luck. Onrush, that's a game I play, and I have quite a bit of progress in it. The Golf Club 2 and Worms Battlegrounds. So those games, you could potentially lose your trophies or progress in it if you change your PSN. So and luckily it's the shorter list. And like I said, those are games, almost every game there, I don't play regularly. If I lost progress in Worms Battlegrounds, I wouldn't care. But Onrush, I've spent hours and hours and hours into that game, and that's one of those games that you like get cosmetics for your vehicles and you get like rares and ultra rares and shit like that. And the idea of like restarting that, I probably would never play the game again. So, and I wouldn't even be like necessarily super fucking pissed, but I'd just be like, game's ruined for me now. I don't want to continue. So that would be pretty shitty. So that is the PSN ID name change in a nutshell. And I've kind of said already, I think it's great that they finally added it. I hope they can fix this, especially with the PS5 coming. They'll be able to streamline this a bit, but hopefully the infrastructure of the PS5 will not allow for shit like this, although it is built off of PS4 infrastructure. But yeah, cool they added it. It's finally around. If you don't mind certain things, if you're starting fresh, you haven't been on PlayStation in a while and you're coming back, I think it's fine, great. And for the most part, this doesn't do anything too critical, but I have to be honest, it's a pretty big deal when it does not work correctly. You're paying them money for a service to change your ID that could be a detriment to you. There's no way to spin that. That's really shitty. So, double-edged sword. Let me know in the comments. What do you think about being able to change your PSN account name, finally? What do you think about the pricing? What do you think about the problems it will give you, potentially? And are any of those games you play regularly that you would be upset if you could not see your name in it or get your progress deleted completely or altered in some way? Let me know in the comments below. Next bit of news and last bit of news. This is the most exciting bit of news of all the bits of news. Is the first details were randomly dropped today, which I'm really glad. We're gonna film Tasty Tuesday last night. I've been feeling under the weather, so I was like, I'm just gonna do it in the morning. So I'm doing it in the morning. Luckily, in that time, PS5 details have dropped, so worth it. Yeah, so I'm gonna go through this article. This is GameSpot, but I believe this information was given to Wired. I don't know why the fuck Wired got this information first. But yeah, Mark Cerny came out and talked about the PS5. Now it is unnamed as of right now. But we can only speculate it will be the PlayStation 5. It only makes sense. It'd be very interesting if they didn't call it PS5. In fact, I think there's like a 90% chance it will be 95% chance we call it the PS5. But if it's something else, I don't know if people react. And hopefully they pick a really cool fucking name. But yeah, they dropped info on what's in this fucking thing. So I'm gonna go through the article because there's a lot of details. And I will be quick about it, and I will talk about my opinions about it. So let's go. Sony has revealed some information about its next generation PlayStation. In an interview with Wired, don't get it, Mark Cerny, who is the lead system architect for PlayStation 4 and is currently working on its successor, divulged details on the components that will power the next gen system and teased some of the breakthroughs it is making. In the interview, Cerny didn't name the console, though conventional thinking states it would probably be the PlayStation 5. Yep. The next-gen PlayStation is partially based on PS4 architecture, which means that it is backwards compatible, which is fucking awesome. And I know you guys on Xbox, this ain't nothing new for you, but I really believe, most consoles, if they're backwards, they should be backwards compatible, but if I'm able to play my PS4 games on my PS5, I have a big fucking library of PS4 games. I can play them on there. Like that's fucking awesome. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Sony also revealed that it is a not all digital device and will accept physical discs. Good. Wired's article describes the transition from PS4 to PS5 as indicated by Sony as a gentle one, adding the numerous games will be released for both PS4 and the next gen console. This is kind of expected. Ever since this console cycle we're in now, we're seeing that. We've seen it since the beginning, since they came out, and we're still seeing it. Even with the Switch, we're seeing that. A lot of games that came out on pretty much everything else is coming out on there with new games as well. So this is kind of expected. I think this is the safest. Some people will complain that we're just getting the same titles released to us again and again and again. It makes sense because you don't know who is coming into the console at what point, if they played those games. I don't think there's any harm in as long as we're getting new games. And PlayStation, if anything, has showed that they are very fucking intense about releasing new games all the time, exclusives, blah, blah, blah. So I think it's smart. I think it's really smart, especially if it's fucking backwards compatible. That is awesome. Housed in the console will be an AMD chip that has a CPU based on the 3rd generation Ryzen. It'll have 8 cores of the 7 nanometer Zen 2 microchip, although the console will support 8K. That's really future proofing. Displaying at this resolution will be dependent on the TVs catching up. So this is smart because 4K is, in my opinion, still not the standard. I know a lot of people still do fucking 1080p fucking HD TVs. So, but you know, a lot of people have 4K now. So you know, while we're still getting everybody caught to 4K, the next will be 8K most likely. Although I've already seen fucking all sorts of stupid K. So having a console ready for that makes sense. It's gonna be around for a while. It's gonna be around for like fucking 5 to 7 years. The graphics, meanwhile, will be driven by a custom version of Radeon's Navi line. This graphics chip will support ray tracing, which is really interesting because ray tracing is a newer technology. Well, it's not newer technology; it's newer to consumer level, but it's pretty much technology for rendering that Pixar used to make their movies, which originally took crazy computing power. You need something that consumers couldn't get really to run it for rendering. So if it supports ray tracing, that's actually really a huge step for console. So that's awesome. Something which is starting to become popular in movies and video games. Although it is traditionally thought of as a lighting technique, Sony says there are implications beyond creating realistic environments. Yeah, I'm not going to get into it. It makes things look better. If you wanted to run tests to see if the player can hear certain audio sources or if the enemies can hear the player's footsteps, ray tracing is useful for that. He explained, it's all the same thing as taking a ray through the environment. Yeah, I think that cleared it up for everybody. In fact, audio is one of the main improvements Sony is keen to talk about. I love audio. The AMD chip will enable 3D audio, and this, according to Sony, is key to immersing players deeper. This naturally led to the discussion of PlayStation VR, and while Sony didn't confirm whether the new version of Sony's headset will be released, the existing one will be supported. Thank you. I mean, I'm going to want to fucking upgrade if they release a new headset because I'm going to want the newest and best technology, but I bought that fucking headset for $400, and you know, for me, that's for everybody. Fucking that's not change. That's not cheap. So like the idea that I'm gonna be able to use that on the PS5, I mean, they're really making, again, man, this transition is smart. It makes sense. You're gonna be able to bring your PS4 games over. You're gonna be able to bring your fucking PSVR over. It's gonna be like just, all right, take my saves over and let's go. We're continuing with better graphics. I mean, that's awesome. I won't go into details of our VR strategy beyond saying that VR is very important to us. They did say before in, I believe, a leak that the PS5 will be built for VR as well. Not specifically only for VR, but the PS4 was made and then they added VR to it. This will be made from the start, planning that it's going to be running VR. So it makes complete sense. I won't go into the details of our VR strategy beyond saying that VR is very important to us and that the current PSVR headset is compatible with the new console, he confirmed, which is awesome. That's awesome. I'm so happy with how both companies are handling. Obviously, the other one's just, you know, an Xbox One, but both companies are being very smart about how they're introducing new consoles. Another key leap, the next PlayStation will make comes through its hard drive. According to Sony, developers let Sony know that they want solid state drives in the new hardware, as opposed to slower equivalents used in current consoles. These SSDs are relatively prevalent now in laptops, and what Sony is bringing to the next PlayStation is described as being specialized for the hardware. Sony demonstrated the change an SSD introduces to gaming by comparing a load sequence from Insomniac's Spider-Man on a standard PS4 Pro and a dev kit of the next-gen PlayStation. On the former, it was 15 seconds, while on the latter, it was 0.8 seconds. That's a huge fucking difference. This, Cerny added, has implications on how the world can be rendered too, which in turn impacts how quickly Spidey can move through the world. On the new hardware, the camera moves through the city much quicker as the hardware is capable of keeping up with rendering requirements. Discussing the SSD, Cerny said the raw read speed is important, but so are the details of the I/O input-output mechanisms and the software stack that we put on the top of them. I got the PS4 Pro, and then I put in an SSD that costs as much as a PlayStation 4 Pro. It might be 1/3 faster. Sony didn't provide any details on any of the services or broader overview of PlayStation's vision for the next generation of gaming, instead focusing on the nitty-gritty of its hardware. It is currently unclear when the console will be fully unveiled. Traditionally, Sony would have debuted its new PlayStation at E3, but the company will not have its usual press conference this year, which really sucks because I am going to E3 this year and I would have loved to see some PlayStation stuff, but oh well. This leaves PlayStation Experience, one of its new Nintendo Direct-like state of play streams, or a standalone PS5 announcement event as possibilities. That is assuming it plans to reveal the PlayStation 5 this year. They did come out and say that this is not coming out this year. But I do think there's a good chance of it being announced, especially if he's coming out talking about it already. Like, normally they don't talk about it at all, and then they just reveal it. So it's interesting that he's already fucking talking about it. And, if he's doing that, I think there's a really good chance that they could just reveal it this year. It would make sense. But unless they're only showing you what it's capable of, they're going to want to show the console off, and I don't know if it has a finalized version of it yet. There was those leaks that came out a while ago that looked pretty good as a mock-up, in my opinion, if they're fake, of a dev kit for the PS5. It was just a big box, looked like a PC, and it had a screen on the front, which makes sense because the Xbox One X dev kit looked very similar, and the controller had a fucking touch screen on it, which I hope that's real. I think that's fucking awesome. But, if that is it, or if it's not, but it would look something like that probably. It would look just like a big computer at first. So unless they have a finalized design, we're not going to be seeing it until then, because they got to make a fucking splash. They got to show that thing off, show how sleek it is, and people are going to go, ooh, and want to pick it up. Not go look at the box and they're like, all right, what's it do? And then they show and they're like, okay, that's dope. Hopefully that thing looks better because I don't want that shit in my fucking house. Yeah. So, unless they have that design already, we probably won't see it till next year. But fingers crossed, I'm hoping to see it this year. That'd be fucking awesome. Because I love new technology. Anyone announce a new console, I'm just like, woo. Yeah, so I pretty much went through my opinions through that whole thing, but, just to recap, 8K, backwards compatibility, runs faster on that SSD, has ray tracing, so the graphics are going to not only look better because the hardware is better, but it's going to have new technology pushing that, which, makes polygons look better. It's gonna render way fucking better with that SSD too. It's gonna back it up. The backwards compatibility, I think, is the huge thing for me on this, because I just love the idea that, like, I'm not losing anything from moving to PS4 to PS5. That's awesome, and I hope they can play all fucking games from the PS4 to PS5. That would be huge. In my brain, I'm thinking, there's gonna be a couple games that aren't gonna work correctly, and that probably will be the case. But the more the better, and I'm really hoping they nail that. Also the VR stuff, I know some people aren't sold on VR. I fucking love VR. It's still in its infancy, so I'm still, the future is bright for it, in my opinion. And I'm so glad that PlayStation is, first off, being profitable with it, but, and bringing it, to the consumer at a level that's not like the Vive, and giving a pretty good experience with VR, but also supporting the thing. So to see it moving into the PS5 and them talking about it, that's great to hear. And I love that I can use my old headset. Although once they introduce a new one that, looks better, graphically, I will be making the move. But until then, I will be able to play my PS4 VR games, on my PS5 and stuff like that. So, and whatever they offer then. So very cool. And then, yeah, of course, faster load times. People are making jokes that, oh, now Bloodborne will finally load in like 4 minutes instead of, fucking 8 or something. So that's funny. But yeah, that 15 seconds to point 0.8 seconds, that's awesome. At this point in gaming, I mean, I remember back in the day on PlayStation, you'd sit there and wait for the disc to just fucking like load for a while. And then finally, you'd have a loading bar, you're just looking at a black screen and you're just like waiting. And sometimes you're just like, I'm gonna go do something else. I'll be back. And nowadays we don't really think about that too much because we got games that stream, one big load and then you're just in the world. You don't have to worry about loading, for the rest of the game period, or games that you load into a map real fast. I was playing something. I think I was playing The Surge for PlayStation Plus. Make sure to play that and come back to the Month Plus Club. And I remember I hit like start game and just went and started playing. I'm like, cool. So when you do run to a loading screen on modern consoles and you're waiting, it kind of is like, oh shit, I forgot about this. So, making progress forward to make that faster. SSDs are way faster. Gets rid of that. Makes rendering faster. Makes when you're playing the game, that streaming that's happening around you faster. So all in all, this thing sounds like a fucking beast. And I'm really excited for it. And now that's confirmed, like this thing's gonna be sick, man. I'm fucking excited. And I'm also excited to see what the fuck Xbox has, what they have cooking up, man. Like they're gonna, I think Xbox is gonna go big this next fucking console cycle. They kind of got left behind a little bit in a couple ways. And I don't think they're gonna let that pass. I mean, the 360 is one of the biggest consoles ever during its cycle. It was king. So Xbox is putting itself probably in place to make a big deal. Lessons learned, like with Sony and the PS3. Their early announcements for the Xbox One didn't go as well as they hoped. So I think they're gonna skip that kind of stuff and just go straight gaming with the new Xbox. So new consoles, man. I'm fucking so excited for new consoles. I get so excited every time. I mean, I remember when the PS4 and the Xbox One were coming out and getting announced and talked about. Like that was like the Super Bowl for me. Like that like when I saw Xbox come out and announce their shit, and then PS4 or Sony like strategized based off their presentation for what they were going to talk about. It was like watching like two teams going against each other, and it was exciting. It was fucking dope. So I can't wait to see what other people bring out. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about the PS5? What do you think about the specs? Are you excited for it? Do you like that they are, I'm sure you do, transferring over everything softly from the PS4 to PS5, allowing you to play games from the PS4 over there. New technologies, ray tracing. Excited about that. Excited about that SSD. Are you excited about the VR? Being able to use the headset. Let me know everything you're thinking about when it comes to the PS5. Went over a lot, but that's gonna do it for this episode of Tasty Tuesday on Tasty the Gaming. So thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on Tumblr, Twitter, and Facebook at Tasty the Gaming. Check out my streams on Twitch at Tasty Senpai, all one word. If you want to watch my streams on YouTube, you can, because I dual stream when I stream. So if you don't like Twitch or you don't like YouTube, pick your poison. Watch my streams there. I'm gonna try and get back into streaming soon. I've been bad about that for like 2-3 months. We got a Discord link down below. Talk to us anytime, all the time. Drop news there with links. I appreciate it so much. We already are talking about news anyway. So, when you throw it in there, there's a really good chance it might show up on the show. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you'd prefer to listen to us. And if you're listening to us and you want to watch us on YouTube, check us out on YouTube at Tasty Luke Gaming. As always, my name's Seth. And until the next episode, which I don't know what that will be, it'll probably be Tasty Cast. I got some new intros coming out for Plus Club and Game of the Month, so stick around for those. More in line with the new style of our new intro. So I'm pretty excited, but you'll see them. Until the next episode, my name's Seth. Take it easy, guys.